We was a bunch of guys loved playing basketball because that's what we done.
It was a challenge to see just how far we can get, how far we can go.
They did what they had to do when it was necessary.
11, 12 other guys that felt the way you did about being a champion and working towards something, and then showing it every day, being accountable to it every day, man, that's powerful for a lifetime.
You know, it's just that work mentality, man, that we all had together, man. That a team ain't a team without everybody meshing together.
You know, this is it, and we ain't gonna get another chance.
Basketball was just in our blood. It was meant for us.
Our team, state team, that's a claim nobody else can take.
We were a bunch of guys who loved to play basketball. We loved the game. We loved the competition. Every day we pushed each other, challenged each other to become the very best that we could be, never accepting anything less than our best, and always there to pick each other up when we failed. We were schoolmates, we were teammates, we were brothers. The fall of 1981 started out like any other school year. We went to class, we reunited with past friends, and we played basketball. It was a short time ago that the Plant City Boys basketball team lost to Clearwater High School. Members of that team set out to work hard, and as Coach Jimmy Smith put it, win their last game. From the MVP of the team to the rising and upcoming stars, each young man knew their role, never taking for granted the person next to them, while always looking forward to achieving their goal, winning a state championship. At the front of the team was Coach Jimmy Smith.
And the head coach of the Plant City Raiders, Jimmy Smith.
Winning a state championship of his own, he knew what it would take for these young men to come together and achieve greatness. Disciplined and determined, Coach Smith set out not only to teach these young men to be champions of basketball, but rather champions of life.
One day I was walking in the hallways and really didn't even know who Jimmy Smith was. He came up to me and asked me, he said, "How your grades, boy?" So I was like, "Well, I just do enough just to get by." He was like, "Well, I want you to come play basketball, come to practice today." And that really did something to me, made me feel real great that he really cared about my well-being before he even cared about me playing basketball.
Coach Smith, a father figure. I mean, you know, Coach always taught us a lot of things other than basketball. Taught us how to be men. Coach made us men, you know, outside of being around our parents. Carry yourself as a man and as a person, and you know, treat people the way you want to be treated. He'd always say that.
I can remember a time where I was failing the grade, and he actually pulled me in. He said, "Well, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna let you sit in this office. You're not gonna participate. You can't practice, you can't do anything until we bring these grades up." So that's the Coach Smith I remember.
He was a no-nonsense type of coach. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And that's in a good way, not a negative way. He was stern. He believed in us. He wanted us to get our grades. He wanted us to stay out in the streets. And he wanted us to practice hard.
Understanding the talent levels and skills of all his players, Coach Smith put each individual in the role that would excel at and give the team the best shot at winning the state title.
At shooting guard, senior, number 3, Horace Broadnax.
The title team was led by star forward Horace Broadnax. A senior that year, Broadnax had a gift for playing basketball. He understood the value of team, never missing an opportunity to pass the ball to the open man while never backing down from the pressure of taking the shot when the game was on the line.
Well, my best friend is Horace Broadnax. We learned to crawl together. We learned to walk together. We learned to play sports together.
I never seen somebody so dedicated to their game.
Horace is something that only comes along in one lifetime.
At point guard, 14, junior, Willie Perkins.
The youngest member of the starting five, Perkins had a flair and ability that was matched by no other. Willie understood the importance of team and valued the time he spent with the other members. Always listening and learning, Perkins strived to become better every day and in turn, inspired his teammates to do the same.
Me being a big man and them passing the ball to me and I miss a pass or miss a layup when they feel like I should make it, Willie, he was the type of guy that wouldn't ridicule you, wouldn't get in your face about it. He just going on to the next play. Real humble guy.
Willie Perkins was outstanding. It's amazing how much he contributed. He was the point guard that you just look for in every situation. He could get the job done. He was steady. If you needed, if he run the plays and the plays come to his option, he would be able to shoot the ball and it go in. He was unselfish. He would give the ball up when it needed to be. He was just outstanding, and that's what you look for.
I needed to be nurtured a little bit. I needed to feel good about what I was doing because, again, for a while I was practicing 2 times a day. I was running drills 2 times a day. I was running suicides out to the track 2 times a day. And whenever I felt like I just wanted to quit doing it, Willie would always talk to me about, feeling like I was part of the family. He definitely took the lead on that. It's probably why we're still such good friends. I think Willie is probably the person who nurtured me the most.
At power forward, senior, number 30, Frank Carlton.
Franklin's defensive play on the court made everyone take notice. Never known to back down from a fight, Franklin's star always shined brightest when the team needed it the most. It was Franklin's defensive play that held the opposite team's stars to under their average. When Franklin Carlton was in the game, one thing was for certain. He was going to shut the other team down.
The type of player he was, taking on the other team's best player, best post player. He, to me, the defense he played was astronomical.
I just was amazed, how Franklin game had done develop and how good he had become in the post because, like I told him, he was a late bloomer. Franklin was on JV our 11th grade year, and he worked all summer, and he probably the most improved player I had seen.
Defended was nationally recognized. A couple of them went on to play NFL football, NBA basketball. Franklin really played defense on these guys and really shut them down. They really didn't reach their average when they played against us because Franklin played such significant defense on them.
At power forward, the junior, number 21, Greg Gilman.
Greg Gilman, while he never was one to make noise on and off the court, his opponents always felt his presence through his consistent play and fierce competitiveness. Greg was the ultimate competitor. He respected the game, respected the other team, but when the buzzer sounded, his goal was to win the game.
Just when you thought maybe he couldn't beat you off the dribble or he couldn't get his shot off on you, that's when he was at his best. He was that silent killer. And once we swung the ball around, if Broad Knights didn't get his shot off, we swung it to Greg, it was no problem. Greg get his shot off.
Greg Gilman was a real quiet guy. He was quiet, just always hard working. He was always a hard working guy. He's standing there and he played with the best of us. He could play with the best of us. And he never pouted or cried or whined at all. I never seen that. And Greg's a good guy, hard player. Greg
Gilman was something special. I moved him from forward to center during the course of the tournament, and he was just outstanding. His demeanor was, whatever you want me to do, coach, I'll do it. And he did just that. He could rebound with the best of them. He had long arms, he could jump, and boy, could he shoot that ball. He could shoot the ball very well. And as a result of that, whatever you had in mind for him to do, he could get the job done.
At point guard, the senior, number 12, Remy Watson.
Remy Watson, point guard and senior on the team and standout athlete at Plant City High School. Watson's play and vocal leadership pushed his teammates to be better, holding them accountable for their actions on and off the court. It was Watson's ability to inspire his teammates at key points throughout the season that helped Plant City find the courage to achieve their goal.
And Remy, you know, he was a good teammate and he was a good facilitator on the basketball court.
He was a great athlete. He had tremendous hands. He challenged you every day. If you came after him and you got the best of him, he never backed down. You would have to get the best of him, 6 times, 7 times a day, as many times as you challenged him. And I knew that he was just a tough individual to deal with. And his college career kind of proved that.
Remy was Mr. Defense to me. I actually watched Remy Watson and tried to emulate his defensive style. Never could do it. He was fast as lightning. And he would get so low on man-to-man defense and get up in that point guard's face so well. I never could come close to the kind of defense that he could play, but he was absolutely amazing.
At center, the junior, number 31, David Kelly.
Always reliable, always dependable, David Kelly set the example through his hard work and dedication on and off the court. Understanding his role and the importance of bringing his teammates together, David helped to cultivate the positive climate that ultimately won a championship.
David Kelly, nobody better hands than he. Didn't matter where the pass was. As a center, David Kelly was going to move some bodies around, and he made sure that he got to the pass, whether it was a good pass or whether it was a bad pass. He made whoever threw that pass look a lot better than they were, because he would get that ball and get it in the hole.
Big Dave! Big Dave was the man. Dave was the coolest white dude on the team. That guy had some game, man. I had to get Dave. Me and Dave, and I knew Dave from back in, I think, elementary school too. We grew up together too. Me and Dave used to ride, he always used to come pick me and another player up from practice, take us to practice all the time, and we always used to ride home with him. Dave's the one that got me hooked on Journey and Pat Benatar.
Outside of the basketball court, we laughing and joking, but, when he stepped in that rectangle, he transformed and did the stuff necessary for us to win, whether it was rebounding, whether it was being the tough guy, bumping somebody, picking somebody, just letting somebody know that there was a big body out there.
At center, senior, number 22, Clyde Coffey.
Clyde was always willing to do whatever was asked of him, always putting the team first. Understanding the importance of team and accepting your role for the greater good demonstrated Clyde's maturity and determination to do whatever it took to win. Tall, and as Coach says, you can't teach size, but you should be able to compete against size. And he was a fierce competitor too, always working real hard, always challenging David Kelly, Joe Davis, Greg Gilman, who played center for us from time to time too. Great all-around guy.
Clyde and how he conducted himself and everything, and I just really appreciated who he was as a young man. And so for me to be able to play with him, and tall, lanky guy and everything, I didn't know how to dunk. I used to see him dunk and everything, but the greatest moment I had with Clyde is when I seen Clyde miss that dunk in the championship. Woo! I laughed so hard, boy, I thought I was gonna urinate on myself.
Without our bench players, whatever, we could not have done what we did. We couldn't have played the type of defense we played if we didn't have Clyde and those guys, because Clyde had the height, so he could kind of like emulate the other team's tallest player. So spoke volumes for us, because that was something that Franklin and Joe Davis actually got to practice again, knowing that other teams had taller players.
At small forward, a senior, number 20, Suarez Worth.
Suarez Worth lent his talents, drive, and jovial spirits to make sure the team always kept a level head in high-pressure situations. While the pranks are off the court, Suarez understood the value of practice, the value of supporting his teammates, and always made it clear that once he stepped onto the court, he had one intention: to win.
I think Suarez is, you always need a guy on the team that keeps everybody loose on their feet, and Suarez is a real funny guy, and a lot of keep us light. I mean, it was times during the season that things got testy, or we trying to win, but Suarez always had something positive to say or funny to say. Kept us laughing. About any particular things that's going on in the neighborhood. So, outside of that, just being on the basketball court, a very good athlete, dunk. He could jump extremely high. Definitely challenged me in the sense of, hey man, we want to dunk the basketball. I think Suarez was jumping real high, and everybody wanted to dunk back in those days. So I mean, he definitely set the bar high.
That was my ace whenever I couldn't get a ride back from Plant City to Beesville. You know what I'm saying? He would always say, hey man, you can just come stay the night with me. So me and Suarez got some ties. Eventually, after graduating from high school, me and Suarez went off to South Carolina State together. So that was some bonding time there for us also.
Well, he's just a great athlete, and you're talking about somebody who's like a helicopter. He could go get a rebound, and you would never expect him to get it because everybody else was much bigger, but he had so much jumping ability. Plus, he was just a great person.
At shooting guard, the sophomore, number 4,
Bavel's appreciation for the game, coupled with his gracious attitude and willingness to learn, made him a perfect pick by Coach Smith to join the team on their championship run. Sophomore teammate, he and I managed to play basketball starting 9th grade forward. We've been on every team together. Critical piece for learning, understanding the youth progression. Coach Smith had a tendency to get us young, bring us up in his system, and Bavel and I were part of that process. Again, one of my best friends ever.
Bavel was a younger guy. I think Bavel was a sophomore. And Bavel, he was real humble, had a role. He had a nice role also. Was prepared to play, to step in whenever he needed to step in. Real nice, humble, outgoing guy. Bavel was really outgoing.
His behavior was great. He just a great human being. And those are the kinds of people you want to put in a position to be a success in your program.
Me and Bavel, just like Danny. I used to hang out with Bavel, and me and him, we used to go to the park, play basketball, play football and everything. And he was a pretty joking, funny guy too. He was the kind of guy that would always stick up for you, Bavel. Even though I was a couple of months older than him and Danny, he was one of them type of guys, because I was the little guy. They always, stick up for me.
At power forward, senior, number 13, Joe Davis.
Joe made his presence known to every team he faced. Davis made every play count and never backed down, whether it be practice or game time. His high standards, quiet demeanor, and competitive spirit was an inspiration to his teammates and a crucial element to the chemistry of the team.
And of course, Joe Davis. I remember Joe, man, he's Mr. Passion. He could jump out of the gym, great on the boards, had a great shot. But I specifically remember him being extremely passionate, a lot of energy. He really took a lot of passion to the game.
Joe Davis, to me, he was just like a no-nonsense guy. He was quiet, but he was a hard-nosed worker. I appreciated that, you know, because older guys, older brothers, I thought that I looked at them as my older brothers, how they conducted themselves on the court.
Joe Davis was my all-around man. He could play forward, he could play center, he could bang with the best of them, and he didn't have no fear. You never had to worry about him as far as putting him in the game and being intimidated by the team that you were dealing with.
At point guard, junior, number 5, Ambrose Smith.
Ambrose always met every challenge that was asked of him by Coach Smith with pride and determination. He had an understanding of the game that gave him the advantage whenever he touched the ball. Smith's hard work and dedication to his teammates and the game made him the ultimate player. We actually grew up neighbors across the street from one another. Real quiet personality, but man, he was a fierce competitor. Understood that he may never start, and that wasn't as much as important to him as being a part of the team. So he pushed everybody every day, and you knew every day that he wanted to take your job, and that's how he played. He fought for that. But that made us better as a team in the long run because we competed daily with one another.
You know, he showed up to practice all the time, and he worked. He didn't complain. He didn't bitch and moan. And a lot of people don't see that. That's an intangible, you know, it's a team basketball game. And at the end of the day, when guys show up to practice every day and work hard and have a big smile on their face, you know, that's encouraging. I mean, because he came to work every day, and that's a positive trait that a lot of people need to have.
Yeah, he was tough in practice. Ambrose, you know, he played the guard position, so we seldom had any type of physical contact. But he was a good athlete. You know, I was impressed by his play. He contributed a lot to our team that year.
Forward, sophomore, number 15, Danny McIntyre.
Danny's athletic talent and natural ambition caught the eye of his coaches and earned him a spot on the varsity. Danny's lively spirit and tenacious behavior served as an inspiration to the older players. They appreciated, mentored, and welcomed him into the program.
Danny McIntyre, that's my boy. Me and him did everything together growing up. That's probably one of the reasons why I tried out for the team, was Danny. He was one of them guys, he was like one of them guys that was always supporting me. You know, me and him, we took high school classes together and everything. And like I say, we've been friends since kids. He lived right across the street from me. And me and him pretty much, we were like inseparable when we was in school.
Danny brought a different style to the game. He was undersized, but he had these crazy shots that no one could block. And everybody was like, man, how did he get that shot off? That's what I remember best about Danny.
Danny became one of my best friends. We played on the JV together. And like Willie said, Danny had an unorthodox way of playing basketball. He shoots some shots that you be like, man, where you get that from? But they worked for him. And so that's what I appreciated most about Danny.
David Kelly with the rebound, passes it back out to Suarez-Worth. Suarez from 15 feet, banks it in, good.
We're gonna beat Brandon. Brandon was our thorn in our side. Brandon and King, they was a thorn in our side.
I hated that school. I didn't like them.
Brandon was really that Goliath to us, and we was the David.
Brandon didn't believe that we had come together as a team.
We were thinking about Brandon. We were excited to play them in the championship game. We were looking forward to it. And
it was our time. I mean, we really had enough of Brandon.
We got a little help from up above, but we weren't gonna lose. It was like, we made a vow, man, look at man, Brandon's not gonna beat us, man.
And you could see in their faces when we started the game and immediately established a lead and kept and held on to close out the game, that they were simply surprised.
We came together, we Halftime, we went in the locker room, man, and say, hey, we right back in the same situation. We got the game close, man, you know what I'm saying? But we got to stay together. We got to keep doing what we do best, and that's play as a team.
I give Coach Smith all the credit for having us prepared and having our confidence level up to really face that collide.
Franklin kind of made a difference for us, and Joe and Riemann Horace.
It was Franklin. He gave us that inside presence that we needed to beat Brandon.
It goes back to on Saturdays when Coach Smith would bring in older guys that had been through the system, older guys that, of course, had size on us and speed or whatever, but that playing against older guys and guys that had been through the system, that propelled us to get ready for our district run.
Our main leader, Horace Broadneck, was just out of this world in what he did.
All of us did our job, but the main thing that stood out though, when Remy stole that ball from Conley.
Horace making some shots at the end to win the game, and pretty much kind of shocked the world, kind of say this then. That was the first night that they kind of thought we were real.
You only can beat a team so many times, and I remember we were determined not to lose to Brandon again.
You could beat a team 3 times in a season, but 4 times is not gonna happen.
And once we got over Brandon, we celebrated that night. And then we didn't celebrate anymore until we won it all in the Lakeland Civic Center.
And Watson passes the ball to Horace Broadnax, and Broadnax at the elbow shoots, scores.
Clearwater was a heart attack game, man. I mean, for the most part, all of us, you know, we was tired, we was playing hard, and we was getting beat in every aspect of the game until, you know, Coach will say, yeah, I can't tell y'all nothing, man, what y'all gonna do?
We ran into Hassan Jones for the second time.
Clearwater, that was a battle, boy. That was something. That was like Horace and Hassan, that was like a boxing match. Like they one hit with a punch, another one hit with a uppercut, right cross. It was just amazing.
Well, Clearwater was a great team. One of the things that we had in our advantage, to our advantage, was Horace Broadnax was a great player. And I knew we had a chance once the ball was in his hands.
Franklin, like I said, Franklin Carlton, he was a magnificent defender.
So, you know, over there, they was leading us by 6 with about a minute left, and things kind of turned around. Joe Davis, I think, hit a few free throws, and then Horace came along at the end and hit a clutch basket at the end, and we went overtime with them, and we ended up coming back.
Felt, and I hate to say this, that we was gonna lose. And I didn't feel that at the beginning of the game. I just felt it coming down to the end until we actually went into that first overtime. Then I knew we had them from there.
We stood together, man. Hassan Jones, Grizzly, a couple of them guys, man, they all went to the next level, but they couldn't just handle us down in the paint or just do the things that they did. So Horace brought us through that one.
We were mentally tough.
You know, I think it kind of looked a little bit dim there at one point, but we was able to rally and tie it up and send it in overtime and eventually win that game.
What we wanted to do was go to their gym and beat them in their gym. And even until the last minute of the game, that was a little bit in doubt. But man, I think people forget. I believe Joe Davis hit 4 out of 5 free throws in the last minute or something like that to keep the game close. And of course, Horace put us in overtime. But we didn't have any quit in us, period. So the idea of having to travel to Clearwater to beat them in their gym, to keep moving forward, I think that actually made us smile. It really did.
Carlton with the steal. Finds Joe Davis streaking down the course, and he's in for the layup. 2.
Yeah, that's one of the games we sold out. You know, wasn't no tickets available for that game, being that they so close, being, you know, most of us know each other and they being a rivalry. And, you know, they came over here with a team that, you know, probably was just as good as us, if not better.
Well, they came to our house. And I think that what made the Kathleen game an incredible game was it was cross-county rivals.
It was a great game, a great opportunity. So I think I recall Coach Smith saying, "Hey, y'all wanted Kathleen, now you got them." So
Kathleen was a school that I wanted to beat so bad because my father lived in Lakeland and I was always in Lakeland. So I was able to play on the hard courts with those guys, and my cousin, she was a cheerleader for him, and so we had arguments all the time.
They had to come to us to get permission to go back to their hometown to play in a state tournament. And they came in with attitude and not realize we had more attitude than they did.
Yeah, George Almonds, all of Kathleen had a stacked team.
And I remember him putting me in, and I got quite a few. I think I got about 4 or 5 rebounds in a row, and ended up getting a few block shots. And so we kind of tightened up the defense on them, and we end up going ahead and beating them in overtime.
I made it just, you know, a vow that, Jabba, you ain't gonna score more points than you think you are. He hit 19 on him in the first half. I mean, Coach Phil was like, he eating your lunch, I said, Coach, I got it. And I think he ended up with 21 for the game.
They had Mr. George Almonds, who was, I mean, he was just Mr. Everything at Kathleen. But we had the man. We had the string music. We had Horace Broadnax.
Well, Kathleen they were just an outstanding team also. But one of the advantages that you have when you play at home, on a home court, your main thing is you want to use that home court to your advantage. And having a player like Horace Broadnax, Horace knew he had to elevate his game. Everybody else on the team did their part.
What stand out the most was the game Horace Broadnax had. It was by far the best high school game and best high school performance I had seen.
Everybody stood in there and did their job on that game too, but Horace just said, man, let me go and take this guy over and do what we got to do. They couldn't stop him. I mean, that day was just Horace's day. He couldn't stop him at all.
But like I said, we didn't back down from that challenge. We took them on and had some great athletes, but we had better athletes. And, you know, we beat them.
Greg Gilman with the ball, looks around, passes it over to Willie Perkins. Perkins for the shot, and it's good.
The main thing I remember about the Miami game, they were all tall. They had one guy, I think, that was he was maybe 6 foot or maybe just right under 6 foot. And they just seemed so intimidating, but
Miami Jackson, man, they lied to us, man. We was all in the back in the Civic Center, man. We had our own mirrors, everything. We was talking about, well, you know, we're gonna do this and all that. And they introduced us, man, and Miami Jackson actually was laughing at us. Cause their team was 6'7", 6'8", big guys, everything. And then they all was like, man, we're gonna kick y'all butt, you know, just giving us a hard time.
They had this guy, he was about 6'8", 6'7", and the night before we seen them play, and boy, he was just dunking, they were just dunking and everything. But what I love, man, that I watched Joe Davis and Franklin Carlton just shut them down.
Miami had practiced in our gym every year when they came to the state tournament. So, and that was a reason why I allowed them to practice. If you're looking at the best team in the state most of the time, and you watch them practice every time they come to the state, there is no secrets anymore.
So we sort of game planned for the first time for a team that we had never played before. And Coach was able to tell us what their tendencies were.
We got behind by 12 points, and I just reminded them, we still got 3 more quarters to play. All you got to do is just do what you do, and everything else will fall into place.
We were defensive minded. Defense wins championships. and our heart and soul was on defense. We knew if we played our game, if we played our defense the way we played defense, no one could beat us.
I was threatened in double overtime by Horace Remy and Willie and maybe even Greg Gilman if I didn't make these free throws that they were going to kick my ass.
I think if anything, we were worried about the fact they were from Miami. You know, Miami, University of Miami, all that area down there was, man, those some rough boys, they don't play. But they ran into the little itty bitty Plant City boys with our country self not backing down. And at the end of the night, I think they were probably a team that was most surprised to lose to us. They really were.
I tell you what, we didn't let them get us. And I think they thought they were gonna run over us, and we showed them what a Raider could do.
Remy Watson bringing the ball down the court, crosses the half-court line, passes over to Horace Broadnax. Broadnax to Clyde Coffey, and he goes in for the slam dunk. 2 points, and the crowd goes wild.
That take us to Jacksonville. Like I say, that game there was over by the first quarter, and it was a real big relief because, like I say, the previous games leading up to the Jacksonville game all was overtime or double overtime.
I think the biggest thing I remember about that is sitting in homeroom and Mr. Moss just over and over telling me there's no way we could beat them, and then it was just a complete blowout, which was very surprising.
All of our preparation had been done on a daily basis. Now you're down to the last game of the season, so as a result of that, you're gonna get to the point where, hey, I gotta do whatever it takes.
Okay, this is it. This is what all the hard work we had put in, this was our time. So when it was time for us to run out, and Coach Smith was like, all right, y'all ready? We was like, yeah, but.
Hey, we excited. Here's this grand opportunity. We enjoying it. Let's go out and play well. I thought we played well.
No. But they had a nationally recognized kid as well. And I think he went up and Franklin blocked this shot, came down and outlet pass, and it just took off from there. It just set the tone for the whole game.
Boy, let me tell you something that I appreciate the most. When Frank blocked Otis Smith dunk, oh, I thought I was gonna jump to the ceiling.
It wasn't about Otis or nothing. It was about us winning that championship, and everybody I played against, they weren't just gonna jump and just dunk on me. Ain't nobody at that time ain't gonna just let you do that.
And we kind of ran them a lot, and I don't think they could handle the press, for they have never probably seen nobody do jump and run and much pressing as we did. So I think the championship game was the easiest game we had.
The game was never in doubt.
We had a catalyst of guys that, just outplayed him as a team. He couldn't beat us by himself.
But the championship game against Jacksonville, that was our blowout game, and it spoke volumes.
We didn't know where we were going after that night. Some would go off to college, career, and family. We didn't know if we would ever see each other again. All we knew was that for this moment, after all of our struggles, hard work, and perseverance, we were and would always be state champs.